Hey everybody, this is Corey from Thought Soldiers. So today I have Sam from Third Eyed Lion here. Sam, say hi to everybody.
Hey everyone,
Uh,
happy Earth
so
Day.
happy Earth Day. This is an Earth Day podcast. I decided to get Sam on because he brought up an interesting topic today, which we're going to touch base on later, which is about this Fox News revelation of the rapture happening tomorrow. We wanted to talk a little bit about prophecy and old paradigm beliefs with prophecy. But I met Sam this weekend. Soul Tribe Network had a synchronicity walk in San Diego. We had 6 people sign up. Sam was the only one that showed up, and it was awesome. Definitely cool to meet a soul brother out here in San Diego. He is a wonderful, 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 wonderful Earth Star seed.
Thank
Past
you.
life brother for sure. Definite past life brother. He also does tarot, so he's gonna do some tarot for us, and he also makes these beautiful jewelry. And he's got an Etsy shop. And so here's one of his lava rock bracelets that he gifted me this weekend that I've been having the pleasure of using. And Sam, welcome to Thought Soldiers, bud.
Thank you.
Yeah, how's your day going?
I was doing great. I'm really grateful to be here in this space with you, brother.
Oh,
And
and I'm grateful to be able to meet you, bud. I'm grateful to meet you. I'm
it's
grateful to have you
mutual.
on.
It's mutual. It's so as Earth Day, I believe, every day can be Earth Day. Just depends on your perspective. But
Mhm.
there's the one where more people are doing stuff, connecting with this planet, and I think that's a huge change. Is people spending time with themselves and with the planet.
Yes, definitely. And giving back to Gaia, because she's such a helper, and I know I'm trying to really shift my ways into protecting her and being a guardian for her, and her children that exist here on this plane with us. But it's really important for today I've been giving gratitude. After this video, I'm gonna go ground and dig my toes into
Yeah.
her. I actually did something earlier. I bought a plant. I bought a little rosemary plant as a little Earth Day present to take care of her and kind of help to raise spiritual awareness and also to use in my practices as well. And I think it's important for us to kind of, when we get on this journey, I came in not very pro like protecting Mother Earth, but as I start to raise in consciousness and understand who I am with my Earth genetics as well, I understand how essential it is to take care of her in this entire process.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of forget that we are made of earth, that every molecule, water, everything that exists as us, as a human being on this planet,
Mm-hmm.
was original part of the planet before we were here. Because our parents ate food, that food turned into protein,
Mm-hmm.
that food was grown on the planet, and then from that point on, every moment we are living, walking earth vessels. And it's very easy to forget that.
And,
Uh,
and
uh,
all,
but, go ahead, man.
yeah, all the elements in Mother Earth and even in the star systems live within us. All of those
Yeah.
molecules exist. And I have to remember, too, that when my time is up and my carbon footprint is left, I go back to the Earth. And that cycle of regeneration occurs, the death and rebirth cycle, which is always going to be a part of Mother Earth. It's not old
So
paradigm
we'll
stuff.
talk about that a lot on this one because that relates to some prophecy stuff going on later.
Yeah.
We'll tie it back to that.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad that I got to plant that little seed, and we'll
Yeah.
water it and reap the harvest of that. So, Sam, if you and I got first off for the viewers, we got to spend a good portion of the day on Saturday hanging out and talking, and I got to really I got to connect heart space wise with Sam and be able to hear his story. And Sam, I really wanted you to share a little bit of your story because I think whatever you don't want to disclose, you don't have to disclose. But I think it helped me to understand you so much more, and also to better understand some of the things I went through growing up as well. That helped to really shape this version of me that's coming about. And so, would you like to kind of go a little bit about your life and how you came to your awakening and what happened?
Yeah, I would love to. So I'm very open when it comes to my origins because I believe a lot of people either had similar things or the exact experiences. So
Exactly.
I was born here in California. I've moved a lot of places, and so it started at the very earliest. I didn't start speaking until I was 3 years old.
Mm.
And prior to that, I was doing gibberish, and it was more like formed sentences, repeating words, not what a normal baby gibberish sounds like.
Light language.
And, yeah, and I found that out later. So the first thing I said once I was able to formulate sentences and have ideas was I told my family, anyone who would listen, was, I'm from the stars, my star mom chose my earth mom, and I'm here to make the world a better place. And I said that, and yeah, I got bullied from saying that, and I learned that then for a period of time that to not mention things like that as a 4 or 5 year old. When I was 15, I totally forgot that lesson, and I told everybody, and I told everybody that I was something. I didn't know what I was, but I told them I was something else. And my father passed away when I was 7. He had cancer. He fought for quite a few years. They said he was going to die 4 years before he did. And the doctor said, you have a year to live, and he lived 4 years after that.
Wow.
And yeah, really strong. And he lived that for me. And I knew it, and my whole family knows it, that he didn't even want a son. My mom actually, had a little trickery involved in that. And so that's something I've had to deal with, the whole idea of, in a way, my whole existence was predicated on a deception.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that was a very good deception in the long time, because, I'm glad I'm here, and I think I've done enough good to justify that. And so we moved a lot growing up. My mom had some struggles with substances and, not the best choices in partners.
Yeah.
So a lot of my childhood was more me going off on my own, going outside, just walking around. And walking was always the thing that ever just grounded me. And I didn't know I was actually meditating until I was like 23, when I found out actually what meditation was. After college and stuff, did a lot of community service, spent a lot of time with unique people, but I always had a huge amount of self-hatred and self-loathing, and just, it originates even before I was born, that story that, sticks with you when you hear that you were born out of a deception. But then, it took a lot of inward thought to me to really know that this is so special, that who I am, everything that has ever happened to me or because of me is important in the grand story.
Yeah.
It's just something that we just can't see in the minute. And I was working at a Pizza Hut, didn't like it at all. I was like suicidal. My boss was really cruel to me, like on a personal level. He singled me out. And so one of my coworkers, a guy I went to high school with named Anthony, I'll send this to him, so I'll give him the shout out. And he was in the meditation, and he did a group meditation class. I was like, what is meditation? I had him explain it to me while we were cleaning, pizza pans in the back. And I looked into it, and my life was changed on that day. And that night, I think I did a 10-hour meditation, just marathon. I was in a deep trance state in my room, and then like the next day I tripped mushrooms for the first time. And I stopped breathing at one point. I was like, okay, so I think I should just meditate the whole time, so I know I'm breathing constantly. And after that experience, there's ups and downs, and no one is ever going to 100% be able to stay in that higher realms on the first time. So there's always the roller coaster. And, it's been a few years since then, and now my focus in life is helping others on their path and showing them the beauty of life and the beauty of the planet. With the jewelry is I co-create with Mother Earth. She creates the materials, the lavas, the crystals, the stones, and I turn it into a tangible artistic expression.
Yeah.
And I don't take full credit to it. Every time I get a compliment, it's the earth that you're really complimenting.
And what you're creating is a symbol of remembrance. of where we come from.
Or what we are.
And what we are exactly. And you know, and even when I look at like this lava rock, to me, like this looks so galactic to me. You know, it's like little meteorites have hit Earth. You know what I mean? And so it's also that remembrance of the unification of everything. How we are all we're all one with everything from the universe down here, and creating that seven, which is the Trinity, meeting with the four elements in the four directions, coming together and merging. And I love that you explained your co-creation with Mother Earth being the creation of jewelry, because you are working with Gaia to help elevate consciousness. And as you are and I know you do this too, because I do this with my music, activating light codes.
Yeah. When anyone views that.
Yeah, and so as you're also helping to raise the consciousness in remembrance of who we are. And our freedom and our sovereignty. And I appreciate you for giving us that gift and sharing that with the world. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and also every bracelet ever made has a secret message a lot of people don't see. If you take it off, Corey, and pinch it right in the middle and do a slight turn, and you're going to see a certain shape. So pinch it in the middle, and then you get the infinite sign. Turn it over right. Yeah. Every single bracelet is a sign of the infinite. And the infinite that we all are, no matter who made it.
Touche, my friend. One little turn, one little 180-degree turn in life, and we remember the infinite being we are. There's such a huge.
So many people think they're on an endless circle of just a hamster wheel. But the only difference between a hamster wheel and the infinite universe is a little tiny turn.
It's a little bit of motion, but that's also how we break a cycle.
Yeah.
Too, is if we're stuck in a cycle, a lot of people are afraid to change their behavior and change their thought form. And honestly, you just have to do the polar opposite of what you've been doing and see how it works for you. You know?
Or just do half the opposite too.
What's that?
If you do half of the opposite, then same.
And an object in motion will stay in motion unless acted on by an unbalanced force. So once you start to create that evolution, you know, it's only going to take an unbalanced force for it to come back, and we can complete that cycle. Oh, man, I love this stuff. This is cool.
Yeah. And then we go into the Mobius strip, where you have the infinite and a line on each side. And the line will go forever, but you will never be able to see the full line. The line will travel the entire Mobius strip, but will only be partially visible at any given time, because it will wrap inside and out of the infinite.
Okay, you're accessing a part of the Akashic records I cannot access right now. My brain just shut down. It was all brrr. So
yeah, so some of the scientists out there with the double slit experiment and a lot of different science have proven that there's a lot more to the universe than what we think we know.
Exactly. And we're also the beautiful thing that I love is that I've been arguing. There's someone here at my house that we get into arguments about because I have some friends that they're religious, dogmatic religion. Of course, they're not spiritual like us, but more to one sector. But they're very theory driven, not theory. Anyways, they're very science driven. And we were talking about the existence of God and like the understanding of the dimensions and things like that. And they're like, well, it hasn't been proven. We were talking about Reiki actually, and how Reiki hasn't been proven. It's all hocus pocus, And I was like, well, every single day, scientists are discovering new microorganisms that didn't exist yesterday. These things did not, and different ways of, especially with quantum physics, there's new things that are popping up every single day. So if it doesn't exist today, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because it could exist tomorrow if they can actually practically apply it into a lab setting. And so, but this is something, I don't know why I started to go, oh, it's because you're talking about the Mobius line. Is that we're discovering new things every single day. And that's like, that even ties in with my spirituality. I'm changing every single day because I will see things in a different light. And we can't just disregard something as being untrue or false or incorrect because we don't know about it today, because the tangible evidence may arrive tomorrow, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Some minds haven't been able to completely wrap it and put it into fact that they can, recreate into a lab, so. into some science experiment. Anyway, I don't know where we're going with that, but
oh no, it's great.
So Earth Day, what have you done today to just help celebrate Earth Day?
So there's a thing I do each Earth Day. I haven't done it yet. I plan on doing it right after we finish this. I have a Rory rock, stones I usually carry to just kind of send my energy through. And every Earth Day, I resend my rock back into the earth, either a body of water or a canyon. And I just send it flying. I find another one that resonates. And by doing this practice, I know that my energy is part of the earth now, because I've charged this for hours and hours of my energy into this. And then when I send it out, no matter who finds it, if it never gets found, at over thousands of years, it will go back into the planet.
That's so cool. And Guy's a really good transmuter.
Yeah. It's the best transmuter. Yeah.
And that's something we did on Saturday too, was that was a part of our little thing, was casting our worries with the full moon energy, casting worries into a stone and throwing that into the water to be transmuted. And so that's really cool that you're leaving your carbon footprint. You're leaving your energetic, like right now you're leaving your carbon footprint. You're leaving your energetic imprint on the world through this video. But it's cool that you have a little thing like that to do, where who knows who will need that rock and will end up being saved from that energy. That's really cool. Yeah,
it's based on similar things the old druids of Europe used to do. They would carve runes, messages, ideas, mantras sometimes on their stones. They would keep them for their lifetime and then throw them in a riverbed. And we still have them in museums as one of the only artifacts from the druids that survived, because they didn't write down on paper. They didn't, Stonehenge, but there's very few actual druid artifacts that remained. But those rune stones, they still remain, because the delicacy of the carving every single inch of it, and they put all this energy to it, but they have the detachment enough to release. And that's another thing is, I value my time and my energy, but I also value releasing it.
Well, and it's the natural give and take of our natural world, which ties in with abundance, ties in with breath, it ties in with relationships, everything, the energetic give and take, which is once again
goes on forever.
Just goes on forever. It's a cycle, but it's a good cycle, as long as our intentions are pure, and we are balanced in that cycle too. Very Two of Pentacles, trying to bring that into balance. So, and I want to say I love how knowledgeable you are about so many aspects of this, especially when it comes down to the runes and the Old Norse mythology and the Greek mythology, because it's stuff I'm very, I haven't really dove into a whole lot yet, and I'm excited to I love our conversations, because I'm so enticed, because it's stuff that you've got so much knowledge, and to hear about which you and I share this, the homelessness past part of this too.
Yeah.
I love being able to break stigma, where people may view us in one light, one sort of shape or way, but if you sit down and have a conversation with us, we're very bright, intelligent, good people. We just got cast into a matrix that we're working to escape.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And each person, no matter big or small, if a lot of people try to belittle other people's struggles. It's just common. It's happened to me. I know it's happened to you as well.
Yeah.
And when that happens, just anyone viewing this, the best advice I could ever give is that listen to what they say, but don't take it to heart, because it is your life. They're not going to be there waking up, and they're not going to be there dying with you. It is up to you how you view your reality. And if you view it in a way that's empowering, kind, accepting, and forgiving, then nothing bad is really being done by this action, no matter if other people may say that it is, because they're operating from fear, from lack, from doubt. And that's not the way to advance. No wealthy person wakes up, I don't have enough money, because if they did, they would never have been wealthy.
Exactly. And also too, because this is something that you and I touched on the other day that I've been having to do, is not subscribing to another person's belief or view on us. Because what we're doing is when we subscribe, to that word subscribe, we were talking about that the other day, but
Yeah.
it works for this, is that when we subscribe to that opinion of that person upon us, we thus create that into our reality. And the whole part of sovereignty is being able to get our auric field strong enough and impenetrable to where these values and these beliefs can be reflected to us, but we don't hold on to it and thus let that seep into us. And that's where, surrounding yourself with the right people. And for me, it's been a lot of meditation and looking at what I value within myself to help strengthen that field so nothing can penetrate that aura, and it's all a practice. It's not, for me, it hasn't been 100% correct, every single moment of the day. I fluctuate, moments of weakness, moments of strength, but it's every time that we get down and we get back up, it builds that resiliency in our auric field to where those things come, but they can't penetrate like they used to,
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad that you talked about that, because subscribing to beliefs, those beliefs we can thus create it into our reality, which I think is a perfect way to segue now into the.
Well, I got one more thing to add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like, me personally, I love studying world, religions, mythology, folklore, because most of these stories, they're based on some truth. A lot of times they're exaggerated or they're skewed to make sense to an audience. Mm-hmm. But if you actually go deeper into it, there's a lot of truth. People that don't want to talk about aliens and fairies and ancestors, mm-hmm. but it goes back to the earliest writings we have talk about that. And there is a Native American teaching that's really resonates with what you were saying, is your life is a ball of wet clay. Every person who you interact with puts a fingerprint or a handprint on your clay, influences you by their energy. Mm-hmm. A little bit of their clay will get on you, every person you interact with, or even just looks at you. But it is your ability to dictate who touches it a lot and who touches it very little. Mm-hmm. Is sometimes that one handprint will be beautiful, but sometimes that fist mark will ruin the whole piece, And it is your choice to fix that. The mm-hmm. clay is still wet. Mm-hmm. You're always able to smooth over these beliefs, these ideas that other people put on you. It's never finite. It has not been cast.
Yeah. And that void space
yeah,
created is the beginning of creation. That's why the void was made in the first place, was for creation. And so if we had a completely solid ball of clay that was 100% smooth all the time, if it was like this, it would, this is all it would be. And so this was created so we could get to this. Those rough edges were there, and that void space was made so we could fill up that cup. And so, and that's what started this whole,
the reality of
whatever this is, as we are further,
Some scientists believe that the Big Bang was a black hole that consumed all existence, got too dense, exploded, and then created reality. And if that is a true theory, which it resonates to me, mm-hmm. that everythingness could only come from nothingness, and nothingness can only come from everythingness.
Mm-hmm. So. It's very Taoist.
Yeah, very much.
Very as above, so below.
Yeah.
It's very cool. All right.
Well, the weird thing is that teaching is actually in almost every single mythology on the world, has some phrasing of the reality exists above, equal to, below, in different phrasings, but that teaching is a universal human teaching of every religion.
Interesting. See, and this is why I'm glad you discussed wanting to talk about, or that your understanding of religion and how you started to look into all these things, because it's been something I've been speaking out into the universe for a while, that I would love to study every single religion to understand, because I found with my spiritual awakening, I was born into born into, the Christian church, which I had a tough time. Well, I didn't have a tough time with it. I was too young to really understand, but my family saw that they were, our church was exiling gays, and there was a lot of hatred and a lot of nasty things happening. And I just remember one week I stopped going to Sunday school, and my parents told me about this, and it really broke my heart, because I was like, good people. When I saw God as a child, I didn't see God as vengeful or hateful. I saw love. But then I saw how it could get once ego and man gets involved and steps into that aspect, it can get really twisted. And so I found God on my own terms, and it actually started out with The Big Lebowski. So my higher power for the longest time was the dude. And I was like, the dude abides. And I found that through the 12 steps, because they say, spiritual awakening is a huge part of the process. And the 12 steps of AA is all tied into enlightenment. And actually, to go back into the past a little bit, Ebby, who was one of the founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, or who met Bill Wilson, who founded AA, Ebby was sent to Carl Jung to get cured, and Carl Jung said the only way that he's going to be able to break this alcoholism is through having a spiritual awakening. And so for me, I found God through, I had a sponsor that was like, who's a godly figure to you, that you believe in? Because I tried to believe in a doorknob. A doorknob serves so many purposes, just something to be able to believe in. But I believed in the dude, and the dude abides, and he was very holy, and well,
the dude is a Buddhist role model. One of the role models. Winnie the Pooh is another one.
Oh, who?
Winnie the Pooh is also a Buddhist allegory character.
The Tao of Pooh, which is funny because that's I didn't understand. My mom has a book called The Tao of Pooh, because my mom, her nickname is Winnie the Pooh, and she's been in love with Winnie the Pooh.
I have that same book.
Yeah, and I was Tigger growing up. Like, my character was Tigger, which is this very starseed ADHD, bouncing around, which then further expanded into Eeyore. Into my later years, I did Eeyore. But yeah, there's so much beautiful wisdom in a lot of those children's cartoons and stuff that really helped to strengthen my belief into a higher power or something bigger than me. And now I see a pattern in all of this religion, but there's still wars that are created over religion. And it's so sad, because as we know, this is just high dimensional information being translated through our body into a form that we can understand. But now we're taking a universal truth, and we're now fighting over a universal truth. And that's sad.
Yeah, for what I've learned, and I've talked to a lot of people on this, is the difference between a spiritual person and a religious person is a religious person looks for God outside of themselves, through structure, through ritual, through practice, through prayer, and they believe God is an external figure. A spiritual person works every day on cultivating the relationship with the God that's inside them. And
watch it reflect outward.
Yeah. And see the God in everyone else. And that's really hard sometimes, when people are as far away from their own sovereignty in their actions and in their beliefs, is holding the space in your mind that, wow, I'm talking to God. God's just choosing to be an asshole right now, And that's perfectly fine. That's part of the grand scheme of the universe.
Exactly. And the divine orchestration, we can't doubt, dude. Because I'm really cool with divine orchestration when it's working in my favor.
Yeah.
But when the orchestration has me in last place and depressed and sad, it's hard to believe. But I have to understand that it is part of the growth, and it's a part of the alignment of the harmony that Gaia and everything working together is creating for this ascension process, especially since I chose to incarnate in this timeline, and to be a part of this global ascension is that I'm now recognizing that even those moments where I just want it all to end, I'm tired, nothing is working out in my favor, it's working out 100% in my favor, because there's a lot of growth and strength and learning lessons that are tied into that lower, those denser realms, I'd like to say, So.
Yeah, and one little saying that might help you and anybody is that, so anxiety is when you are worrying about the future And a lot of depression comes from overthinking the past.
Yeah.
So when you live in the now and when you're present in the moment that is happening,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to fight with those thoughts of unacceptance, unperfection. You just know that right now is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's the worst day of your life, that day is beautiful because later on, when someone else is having the worst day of their life, you can say, hey, I've gone through this and it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard to see that in a linear time. You know, the higher dimensions,
Mm-hmm.
5 and higher dimensions,
Mm-hmm.
is there is no linear time. So everything that happens to them is happening now because there only is now.
Exactly. And I'm glad you mentioned that. That's another phrase I heard is 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future, you're pissing on the present.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so true. It's like, and this mindfulness practice of being here now is very tough to cultivate, especially when it comes to like when you're diving into shadow work and sometimes obsessively healing, because when you're obsessively healing sometimes past stuff, you get so caught up in that you forget that the gift is in the present. It's in the now moment and seeking that gratitude of the now and what's all around us. But it's also very hard to, this is something I'm learning to kind of grasp and cultivate, is coming from, I was raised upper middle class in a very good family, good home, good school system. And being removed from that, dropping down and getting those root chakra blockages from homelessness, to thus having to find some worth and value, which that removal of external materialistic objects helped, in a sense, to find this. It was removing this need for an external God to find the internal God. But it's hard to, in some levels of abundance, it's hard to grasp onto self-worth when we've been kind of cast into this animal sidetrack. And it's something I'm learning to cultivate, to remove that belief, because, and I'm meeting more people now in my spectrum that are like, I see value in you, because regardless of where you come from, I see your light, and I'm meeting people that see energy, and it's beautiful because that's what we go off of. When we see energy, we're speaking to the soul of that individual, and we're removing the external, this is what we're defined as, my gold watch, things like that. I have a tough time wearing this now because I recognize that this is so flashy and gaudy that this doesn't define me. What defines me is my energetic imprint and who I am at a soul level. And that's why the removal of objects sometimes is very key in that understanding who we are and letting that vibrate out, So.
Yeah, and my experiences are like very polar opposite to that, because I didn't grow up with much, and during my childhood there was a lot of times, we had to eat food from the back of the grocery store before it goes moldy, and cereal with water type stuff. And the issues I'm working on now is changing the beliefs that I deserve poverty, and is that I deserve to be successful, because by being successful will inspire other people to achieve that as well. Because I don't believe we live in a universe of lack. I believe we live in a universe of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all it takes is to look at a tree. And the picture right behind you is a perfect example of nature's abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times the tree needs to lose its leaves in the winter.
Yes.
Because it will always come back. Because that is such a beautiful thing. I know quite a few of my friends don't like autumn. It makes them sad. It makes them depressed. No other time of the year makes me happier, because it is the perfect natural metaphor for releasing the old, getting rid of what no longer serves, spending time being bare, being cold, being cast out, and then growing back, springing back into life, and continuing the cycle.
And also too, it's like, I think of it like the butterfly is like, we have to cocoon in the winter because we need those layers to keep our warmth in. But as we're doing that, our light is shining super bright within. It's about to combust. And when springtime comes, that's when the cocoon pops open and our light shines bright and our hearts expand, and we can start to remove the layers and feel warm and whole in our exposure and level of vulnerability, but it's a strong vulnerability. You know what I mean? It's not like and that's when our wings come out and we fly and we soar and it's such a beautiful metaphor of the changing of the seasons. And like you said, the shedding, because that's what this is. This process is just, we're born pure, and then programming and thoughts and beliefs and trauma create this callus, and we're just ripping the layers apart as we expose our natural energetic imprint and get closer to the soul level of who we are and to embrace that godliness.
Yeah, and that word metamorphosis.
Yes.
And I think it's one of the best words in the English language, because life is constantly a metamorphosis. It is a change from a fundamental molecular basis, from lack, limitation, hate, anger, fury, to love, acceptance, forgiveness. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to be an immediate process. It's a metamorphosis. It is something that you have to go inward. You have to literally, like, the caterpillar is dead when the butterfly emerges. The butterfly is a new being made from the same material, the same energy of the caterpillar, but it is not the caterpillar anymore. They're two different animals now.
Yeah. And it's interesting you're because now I'm thinking of, like, why does a butterfly still hang out with caterpillars?
Reproduction.
But reproduction. But like, it's something that I have a tough time embodying, is that when I turn into a butterfly, I will still will limit myself. And it's sometimes I think the butterfly
like
goes
the
back.
Butterfly acting like a caterpillar.
Yeah, or like or not really fully believing it's a butterfly and the wings never flap. Yeah. And it's like, no, like, everyone else sees your butterfly. Why aren't you taking flight? Well, because once again, it doesn't see it in its reflection or believe it.
The ugly duckling.
Yeah, exactly that, which I'm super proud of being the ugly duckling and the black sheep,
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm definitely the black sheep and the cool swan.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't like ugly duckling. I like cool swan better.
Hell yeah. And we gotta let the water roll off our back too when it comes to embracing where we're at, and tying back to what we were talking about with people's beliefs and subscribing to that. We have to learn to let that roll off of our back and not enter our field and latch on, because it's everywhere. And that's part of our sovereignty is flowing and being graceful and letting those things. It's very martial arts. It's very going with the flow of motion and energy, and it all. I love how we just start talking about these things and tie it all into spirit, because everything it's all spirituality. It's all flow. It's all infinite. We have to just see it that way, and it starts to change our reality. It's alchemy. Yeah.
Perfect. Is this every circle is an infinite is a infinite 8, is always there, but it's so easy to just see it as a circle and to not really, because the only thing that makes it infinite is the pressure, the condensing, and then the rotation, and then the change. So a lot of times when we feel pressure and we feel like we're being compressed, so the universe is telling us, now's your time to make the change. Because if you do, the flow will just gain momentum quicker. Yeah. And just acceptance of, this is who I have been, this is who I want to be, and this is me making that change. Because if you don't do all, if the 3 stages, I'm going to keep going back to the caterpillar because I think it's great.
Do it, go for it.
So you need all 3 stages. And the butterfly's beauty comes from the fact that it was dormant as a chrysalis. And that fact that it did eat a lot of food as a caterpillar is all important. Every moment is important. But, it's so easy to see that chrysalis process, that, hermit period that we all have to go through as a negative thing, as isolation, as not being positive. But if you see it that way, that's how it's going to be, It's just a perception.
Well, and it's like these dark nights of the soul and stuff, once you get through, like, because every time that I have a dark night, they become more rapid recently. They're just not as long in period. I have them a lot more, but they're just not as long as that. There's like a ceiling, and like you reach the ceiling and you're like, and then there's that breakthrough where you break through and you're like, oh, and since I've gone through it so many times, when I have it now, I'm okay. Like, I find peace in knowing that I'm going to break through eventually. And sometimes, like, it's just having to wait it out. Like a lot of the times there's no tangible action I need to take to break through. It's just a part of the accepting that it's a part of the process, and I need to
The self-love.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it is opening up to let those people in. Because I find when I go through a dark night, there's been a pattern for me that I have a dark night and everyone retreats. And it's like at a soul level, I signed a contract saying if I'm going through some stuff, I got to get through it myself, because that's what builds up the resiliency within. And then also too, when someone else is going through a dark night, it's not that dark for me because I've already illuminated that aspect. And so I can sit there with them in the dark and hold space to bring them up to that point, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. That was really well put, man, because I bet there's somebody out there listening, and I'm speaking directly to you, audience member. And if you believe that shit is just terrible and there's no reason to continue, tomorrow's just going to be even more shit. It doesn't have to be. And you can use that shit as a artistic fuel for music, for art, for dance, for poetry, because there's other people who feel that exact same way, and they're willing to pay their energy, their money to be accepted. And all it takes is a song or a painting or, you know, even just an interpretive dance to show someone else, hey, this person, I can sense their feelings.
Yeah.
And most of the most beautiful works of art ever made were made when the artists were in their lowest spot. If you know, the perfect example is Vincent van Gogh. He was incredibly tortured. He you know, probably had schizophrenia and a lot of other undiagnosed things. But every single piece of work he made is beautiful because you can see his agony in his art.
Yeah.
And we know that everybody has agony. And the art that removes that agony, that removes that, you know, really visceral human experience, a lot of times, you know, it just seems plastic. There's no real life to it when you look at it.
Well, and the creation too, which is really neat, is that it could just be you telling your story. You know, if you can put it into a creative endeavor, great. But there's some people. I have to say, most people that have been through real struggle are beautiful artists in one way, shape, or form. But the art piece as well could just be your story and who you are, and that's why I wanted to get you on here, because like when I was talking to you, I understood you at a soul, like I already knew you at a soul level when we met, and it was so easy to talk to you. But when I heard your story, I could relate in so many ways, because I started to understand me better and why I'm certain ways, you know?
Yeah.
And we are that art piece. Like, not only can we create that art, but we are that art form, because there's beauty in our scars. Our scars are what show the wounds we've been through and make us the powerful, empathetic, compassionate beings we are, to help show people that, like, if you, through transmutation and what I would call practical alchemy, you can pop through those dark times. Because what's really hard, and this is something that I'm seeing change now more, is that people, when you resonate on that trauma cycle and resonate on that suffering cycle, you'll get caught in that. And that's why this new paradigm and elevation of consciousness helps to break that cycle and turn you into an infinite being, is because the reason that exists, the suffering, the trauma exists, is because it was going to be the catalyst for healing. But we do live in a paradigm, sadly, and in a society that doesn't heal. They mask.
Yeah.
The revolving door treatment, you know, keep coming back. You know, you're never going to get cured. And sadly, these people that are healing and are curing, like Dr. Seedy, you know, with this whole, you know, to go recently into the Nipsey Hussle thing, which I don't want to get too far into that, but you know, he was making a documentary about Dr. Seedy getting, you know, and him finding the cure for AIDS and everything that's happened. I haven't looked too deep into the story because I don't go into media and I stay away from politics, and I just stay out of it just because, for my own sovereignty and my own sake. Plus, it doesn't really interest me. But yeah, like these people that cure, they got targets on their foreheads.
Yeah.
You know? And with this collective global awakening and a lot of healers coming into the light, there's gonna be a lot. It's very hard to silence that many voices that see the benefits of healing.
Yeah, especially like with people like you and me who believe in the plant medicines and the sun medicines and the sound healing. like all of these were so suppressed, but the thing is that they've been suppressed for only 200 years. Before that 200 years, every tribal medicine man knew the principles of water healing, of blood healing, and sunlight healing, and all of, you know, and so like in Alaska, the normal Inuit people, they would bury sick individuals in snow for 2 hours, only with holes for nose to breathe.
Yeah.
And that would treat pneumonia. It would treat like bone decay, a lot of different actual things. You can do your own research on that. But as we kind of continue on this path, you know, there's a way to heal in anything. Yes. But there's also a way to hurt with everything.
Yes.
And it's always been that it's easy to blame the healer for somebody dying because they don't listen to the healer, because the healer tried to help them. And I have past life experiences of that myself. So
well, and it's like we look at electricity. Electricity can give life. It can create so much, but it can also destroy. Like if we look at the electric chair, you know, that's the
or shock therapy.
What? Yeah, shock therapy.
Electroshock therapy.
Exactly. It can help, or it can help, or it can hurt. It depends on what are we using it for. It's like magic, dude. It's the same with witchcraft. Like you can.
I think with everything, every action you can do can either be a beneficial or a detrimental action. It's based on intent, knowledge, and follow through.
Exactly, and the problem is that these structures we live in that started to understand this power of the law of attraction and manifestation, all of these, you know, things like the Book of Enoch and stuff that were removed because
the esoteric teachings.
What? Yeah, the esoteric teachings. Because when only a certain amount of the population had access to this, these illuminated individuals could then use it for control. And it's like, it doesn't make, you know, this is a universal truth that we're all tapped into. But the more that they create things like the phone, which is so interesting because this is our brain marketed and sold to us.
Yeah.
When we start to talk about telepathy and we start to talk about information, downloads, understandings, what happens is this is an external God. And it's so funny that so many people are so quick to believe, and I tie into this. There's things that I read that I start to believe, you know, on here, yeah. And I've had to learn to shut off these things and really go within to find my truth about it, because, you know, the society cannot sell my mind. I can sell my mind in creative aspects and things like that, but we're now able to replicate everything the human can do into something that I pay $1,000 for, which is it's my sovereign universal birthright to have access to infinite knowledge.
Yep.
And that's why I love this level of spirituality, because, you know, now I know my truth, and I thus can start to affect my reality accordingly and not tie into biblical prophecies that are saying that the world's going to end tomorrow, and we're going on to beautiful topics, but I was sitting here thinking like, oh crap, what if I mentioned in this video that we're going to talk about this and we just don't talk about it the entire time, because this is a great video. But I do at some point want to hear about this Fox News thing, because you're the one that brought it to my attention.
Yeah, so let me say a little preface before we get into that.
Okay, cool.
Ever since the beginning of time, there has been people who have practiced different forms of divination.
Yes. And
either it being cloud divination, which is one of the oldest, water viewing, which is, if you've seen Lord of the Rings, which is what the elves use in the Lord of the Rings, and there's many different of these ways of viewing the unseen universe and gaining unseen information. And any being who have done this, a lot of times they gain information and they want to share it to help others. But then there's almost always a group who take that information and they use it to scare people instead of helping them. Because when we don't live in the now, a prediction of anything for the future could be debilitating, because if you don't know the certainty, it's hard to make an action if you don't understand that the action in the now is all you need to take.
Yeah, exactly. And our reality is changing. I think it's like every 17 seconds.
Yeah.
You know? And
we go to a different timeline.
We can choose to I've collapsed timelines before. I've gotten, you know, I wanted so I've genuinely had prophecy in my life where I had, and I wanted to touch base on a little bit of this because it's a part of my story. Is I had a moment where for 3 or 4 months I was getting a recurring dream of a fire occurring, and it was tied into a friend of mine. And so for the sake of the individual, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but let's just say it ended up coming about. He ended up dying in a fire. And I told a few friends about it, and they were like, whoa, like you, and this is what really kind of like got me to like, whoa, spiritually awaken, was because it was like, yo, I do have some, like, I always thought I had some sort of gift and I wanted to expand on it, but society told me, no, you don't have a gift, whatever. Now where I'm at in the point in my life, is it that I had this prophetic dream and then the obsession on that thought is what created it into my reality? I don't know. But this prophecy, this fear tactic, is very hard, because once I started to see, because I genuinely thought for a while that the world was ending. But what I started to recognize is that it was just that natural death and rebirth cycle of ending of an old paradigm, start of a new. And I feel like that the control is losing control over the collective, and they're throwing out whatever lower vibrational frequencies they can, because when I think of a lower vibrational frequency, I think of a lower vibrational frequency hitting my ankles and a higher vibrational frequency hitting like my high heart or my crown. And so when I think of these lower vibrational frequencies coming in, it's like attaching to my ankles to stop me from being able to move forward. And when I read something like this, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And then also too, it's like it's like Fox News is trying to catch the fad of numerology and astrology. They're throwing fear by attaching, you know, numerology and astrology to it, which is something that a lot of the collective is stepping into as we're expanding.
Or it might be the first time they ever hear about these systems is from this piece that uses the systems falsely. And yeah. So I totally agree, man.
And as we know, astrology, even though there's a lot of truth to the planetary alignment and to where everything is, when we start to get into higher 5D and higher consciousness, we're aware that this lives within us. And because here's the thing, is that if I shut off YouTube that's talking about Mercury retrograde and stuff, will I notice Mercury retrograde?
Depends. Yeah.
You know, like, and I have to, and even getting my horoscope in the morning, like, because I still read my horoscope. I'm still one of those kind of weird guys, but it can create into my reality, because if that's the first thing I read in the morning when I'm in a theta state, I'm thus and I want to see when this headline was released, actually, what time of day. Oh, it doesn't say.
But so I'll continue on what you were just saying. Is I pull a tarot card for myself every day. And so whenever I do readings of any type of divination, the first thing I say to anybody is, what I'm telling you about the past, the present, and the future is what I am picking up, the energies that I'm picking up. But the stuff about the future is not in stone. You are a creator being. You can either listen to what I say and create that reality, or consciously create a different reality, the opposite of what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And not many readers want to say that, because in a way it ruins the whole illusion, because the illusion is that I have knowledge you don't have, so you should pay me for that knowledge. I don't get paid for my readings. I believe information should be free. Mm-hmm. And what I'm doing is just translating divine information.
Exactly.
So the first piece of divine information I want to tell them is that you are divine, and you are the one who gets to choose what information resonates and becomes true.
Exactly.
And with these prophecies, they're trying to trick people who are not aware of their own abilities to create fear, you know, to buy out all the water in the grocery stores, and to do all these things that, you know, that's happened at 2012 and happened at the bicentennial and will, you know, always happen. Is people believe that power, safety, structure has to be found outside of them. No. And that is false. And that is something that you have to learn is false on your own. You may listen to us talk about it, but it's going to take a somewhat traumatic experience for you to realize that, hey, I am in control.
Yeah. And it's very, because, and what's really tough too, that I was actually talking to my friend Sam about this, is another Sam, by the way. I've got a masculine and a feminine Sam in my life right now, and it's great. Two of my soul family members.
The name means individual who communes with God.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell her about that. She's gonna be excited to hear that. But we were talking about how so it's funny because I have a tough time with in AA. It's talking about powerlessness a lot, and I'm so about the empowerment. But what's interesting is when you admit powerlessness at a level, you are seen as weak. But when you start to talk about power with certain people, now this is with certain people, you talk about I'm powerful, all of a sudden you're cocky and you're grandiose. And it's like, it's tough because the only way to break a cycle is to do the 180. And for me, if I'm in a powerless thought loop, I need power to start, or a thought of control, a sense of control of my thoughts and my reality, and how that externally reflects. And so I have to start that turning to get into that state of power, to make choice and to get sovereignty. But what happens is that level of power then starts, I will get like you're being cocky, you're being egotistical. And it's like, no, I'm actually just being the being that I was born to be. It's the old structure that keeps me small.
Like when people say stuff like that, it's most of the time it's projection. It's their own insecurities. They can't handle the fact that you are secure, and so they project their insecurities on you. I used to do this stuff too, because I used to be one of those guys who hated positive people. Who, if somebody was smiling and happy and having a good time, that used to piss me off because I thought my life was shit and nobody should be happy.
Yeah.
And I am so different now, and in so many ways, where if I met myself back then, I would give him a hug and he would have punched me in the face.
Right?
And I think a lot of us are going through that, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And if you hurt people when you didn't know that you were hurting them, everybody has. There's no monopoly on that.
No.
And it is. Forgiveness is really important, and the first thing to do is forgive yourself for any unconscious acts you might have made.
Exactly.
And will make, because we still will be unconscious from time to time. And it's not being angry and upset at yourself, because every Buddha, every spiritual teacher, before they were a master spiritual teacher, they didn't have control of their abilities.
Well, and I love it. There was a quote I saw the other day, which is, the difference between a student and a master has failed more times than the student has tried.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And it's because as we're bridging the unconscious or the subconscious to the conscious, and we're trying to have an even infinite flow of communication, it's like the balance of the masculine and feminine. It's just, we want that clear communication between the two. There are going to be misfires. And there's going to be moments where because
the masculine wants the feminine to be masculine, and the feminine wants the masculine to be feminine, and
But when you hurt one part, you hurt the other. Like my friend Sam, she's got this pain that's on her right hip that will flare up, and we've been working to clear that energy through her practice and my Reiki I've been doing to try to clear that, and it's getting better. But what happens is, because her left side has an energy imbalance that's affecting her, and so it's like, there's the feminine is hurt in one aspect that's actually creating physical pain in the masculine. And that's where the integration, and like a lot of the time, the healing of the feminine actually requires healing of the masculine. And you're going to watch that reflect into that balance. And it's same with the conscious and subconscious. And we have to give ourselves the okay for not being, because I think I'm pretty sure I've done some things to hurt people inadvertently, even if it's saying something about myself to hurt somebody. Like it could be that I'm reflecting something outward and spitting it onto someone else. The way that I'm treating myself could be hurting someone else.
Or somebody might be respecting you, even though you don't respect yourself. By you disrespecting them, causes them to question their respect of you and anyone else.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of times, like, you don't see that happening because most people are so much their life. And bringing it back to these prophecies the prophecies will, like, if the world were to end, the rapture happens, and the higher light beings get a beam of light, and the lower light beings, either burn or go to another world. I'm accepting that I lived my life. I was here. I did good. I could do more if I live, and if I don't, I've done good. Yeah. And I've done bad as well. And I know that every day I add more to the good pile than I add to the bad pile. And that makes me feel comfortable if I get shot in the head walking down the street.
Yeah. Well, and also, too, the recognition that when it comes down to it, we signed up for every aspect of this.
Yeah.
And that's something I've had to grow to. Oh, it's so funny. I'm getting these dings on my computer as we're saying things. It's just a pop-up, but it's so funny when the synchronicity behind the dings is that I signed up for all this. So anything that happens in my reality, it's because that's what my soul wanted to do. That was part of the mission. I'll tell you what. So, like we mentioned, something is coming up. Like, something is happening. I don't think it's this rapture kind of thing. But once again, if it happens, I wouldn't be surprised because stuff's ramping up, and I feel like a lot of this. I know I was talking to a friend from Colorado who's been. Our energies have the energies that have arrived recently have created a level of shadow work, and I feel like the big change of that shadow work is to step more into our power into helping another individual. Like, I don't feel like my time is done, but maybe that's our carbon footprint. Who knows? But I still have a very tough time when I started to learn about the law of attraction and how we create our reality, collapsing old timelines and things, to see this stuff still, in the news, because you implant this in enough of the subconscious, we can thus create it, and I'm not about, this is why I'm about sovereignty and not paying attention to the media, because, I don't know. I mean, it's the word is very big. What?
It's a matter of giving up your own power to a system that you believe is more powerful than yourself.
Exactly.
And you don't do that, so that's great.
And I do believe in divine order and divine orchestration, where if it's meant to be, it'll be. So it's not like I feel like if the internal God is in line with a master and a creator, but I have a tough time to step into this fear, and I feel like right now the news is going to do what it can to cast this black magic onto us, because the stronger, more powerful that we get as a collective in the motion of
have to get
the more extreme it's going to have to get. And what's very interesting is, like, when we look at the rise of certain, like, so I'm really looking into the Southern root work and Appalachian conjure, like the stuff that came, a lot of the hoodoo, I'm very interested in learning about that. And a lot of those spiritual practices and that craft came about because there was so much tyranny and so much. No one had any control over their physical presence. So what they learned was how to control their natural imprint and to be in control of their soul. And that's where spirituality came into play, was because there's so much going on external that, like, you could rape and pillage my body, but you couldn't do that to my light. And that's where the only kind of little bit of fear I have is seeing the cycles of how this stuff has happened over time, and more empowered we are. I do know that the further we step away from the control matrix, the harder they're going to bite down. But the more individuals we have in line with this elevation, the harder it's going to be, because the masses of the people, this is where the 1%ers did everything wrong, is if the 1%ers have control, let's take that control and that power and give it to the 99% and let them elevate to their level. Who's in control now?
Yep. And to bring it back with what you said at the beginning of this video is, there is death is a false belief. We are eternal beings who will live many lives, and we are living many lives right now. Mm-hmm. This might be, for some of your audience, maybe the first time someone is hearing this, but every person is a multi-dimensional being. Mm-hmm. You may just only be aware of what's happening here on Earth right now, but on a planet on the other side of the existence, you're doing something totally different. Yeah. And it is you can tap into that. There's many tools to do so. I have some on my YouTube channel that I like to share. And because when you die, you're just transmuting. You are going from one experience to a next experience, but your consciousness doesn't die. The lessons you learned, that's why if children who have huge intuitive gifts, teenagers who remember their past lives, and individuals who have these spiritual abilities from a young age, they've most likely spent their entire last life mastering that ability so they could have it into the next life. Yeah. And like you also said, it's your choice. It's your contract. The media wants you to feel like you don't have a choice. This control system wants you to feel divided, separate from the unity of divinity, of love everywhere. And there's songs that love's fake, love hurts. They all, and it has been, they want to plant these little seeds. They want you to believe left is right and right is left, so you can never find the treasure on the map. Because if you are going the wrong way, if you believe right is wrong and wrong is right, they're winning. Yeah. Because they don't want you to trust your intuition. They don't want you to talk to crystals. They don't want you to swim with the dolphins. Because by doing these things, by connecting to something outside of you as part of you, you are becoming whole. And once there's, I think 50% of the population becomes whole, the other 40% has no chance.
Right. Well, and it's the connectedness, is so key, because we have walls and borders put up in so many aspects of our lives today at the micro and macro level, at the larger scheme, but also like I will put up boundaries, to keep people out, but also to keep me in, to keep me small and hermited and tiny. And the thing is part of expansion and this understanding of the connectedness of our nature this is why I love the awakening, is to see energy and to no longer see this, and to not see gender and to not see ethnicity. Because when we see energy, and you can say, like, I love you to someone and not feel like you're going to fit into some mold because you say a man says I love you to another man, that all of a sudden you're now in this category, in this formula of, labeling. That labeling. Thank you, labeling. That was the word I was thinking of. Is that the beautiful part of this expansion process is to no longer fit into a box and just to be connected with everything. And the only thing that really divides us as a human race is our translation and our linguistics. And that's why I love things like light language, because light language, we're speaking our natural language that is like it's called speaking in tongues to some people. To some, what it is it's just it's speaking from a higher aspect, because that's what's happening now. Is we're rising up. Rising up, and it's the division of these borders and these barriers, and understanding that we're infinite, and understanding that these fallacies that are put out by the Matrix can no longer, they can't control us anymore. The more awakened we get to, you see this stuff and you laugh because you see the idiocracy in it. It's like, have you seen the movie Idiocracy, where they're like, electrolytes everywhere, like. Those kinds of movies were created in that light, because that is what happens when you can transmute a lot of this darkness and negativity in the world. Is we learn to laugh at it, because we learn to transmute it. We learn that it's not that serious. Like, if I'm the stars and I am the universe, then some guy talking some 3D petty crap means nothing to me, because I'm a freaking part of the solar system, bro. The universe lives within me. You know how big and major that is?
So that's, I want to, something you just said, that word, universe.
Yeah.
So,
one.
You.
Yeah. Oh, you. Yeah.
Verse. Yeah. Vastness.
Yeah.
You are vast. You are everything. You are the universe. You are your own universe. You are your universe. I am anybody walking by. Mm-hmm. It is their universe, but so many people don't want to take that you. They want their reality to be is what was told to them, what is easy, and they don't want to, really climb the mountain and really take that cardio to heart and really force themselves to change that perspective. But when you do, when you really do, we can both admit to this. Every moment is brighter, even the darkest.
Well, and I like the beginning. You and I. You and I, that connectedness, like the you, yes, but it's the you and I and that connectedness.
Yeah.
And we are all just a part of the rotation of the galaxy. And we're all rotating around this one universal truth, this passion, this creativity, this fire, this element that we're all rotating around, this one universal truth, and we're all just playing our role in the divine orchestration. And that's been another thing too, is seeing things like the fear matrix and stuff, posting stuff like this, it serves its role in the music and the song and dance of the game of life.
Yeah.
You know? And having to accept that as a part of it, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's really important that we are talking about this, because a lot of people, when they see these things, there's the two main reactions are either to fall into the fear and panic, or complete dismissal.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, let's just dismiss it as being ridiculous. But here's the thing is, I don't believe either of those are the healthiest way to go. Because you need it's everything that happens to you, the fact you're even watching this video is a cognitive choice to, one, click on it, two, to be here for, almost an hour we've been doing this.
Yeah.
When you hear these words that we're saying, it was your choice to be here. These are your words. I don't own my words. You can't own a word. Many writers would disagree with me on that, and copywriters would definitely disagree with me on that.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that there's a true ownership of anything. Everything is just rented.
It's rights. We're giving up those rights contractually to someone. Exactly. And I like how you said that. It's never owned. Just like land and renting a house. No one owns this land. This land belongs to Source Creator, and even beyond that, it belongs to our ancestors, and it belongs to the people that we stole it from. Yeah. So and so this land doesn't belong to anybody. It belongs.
If you ask the people we started from, they say this land belongs to the Star Brothers.
See, so. and that's where, and it's funny because the galactic side of things can still be. Some people are so about galactic stuff, and dude, if you don't resonate with it, cool. Trash can's right there. Toss it out. Whatever you want to believe. It resonates with me, and it seems very. It's plausible for me because I know, as we've discussed, coming from Lemuria and stuff like that in our past lives and being those Earth galactics, it's very valid for us. It's very valid, and I know some people where the galactic stuff doesn't resonate with them. They're a lot more elemental. They're a lot more
yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's where we need this unification, is because I see people that are like, you believe in galactic stuff? Well, I'm going to shut you down. It's like, dude, you know what? I don't care if you praise a naked clown on a street corner. If it's going to help you to expand and to feel better as an individual and to help you treat that people better, believe it. Believe it.
Yeah.
If you're going to believe, if you're going to believe that a can of garbanzo beans is where God lies, awesome. Praise those garbanzo beans and enjoy it. If it's making you a better person, I'm not going to judge you for it.
Yeah.
And
we bring it back to the dude, get a little Lebowski up in here, is all of these things that if you haven't seen the movie Big Lebowski, there's an individual who likes likes to bowl. He likes bowling.
Yeah.
Okay. And he is mistaken for a crime that he didn't commit.
Yeah.
And that's the premise of the movie. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So
go check it out. That's a badass movie.
Yeah. So it happens to us all. And there's going to be a time where someone's going to say you did or acted something that you didn't. The question is, how do you react to that? Do you defend? Do you get angry? Or do you act like the dude and say, no, but I'm still me,
Exactly. And that's trusting. That's trusting the universe too, because and it's tough because I know that there are I have friends that are minorities that genuinely didn't do things, and they're good-hearted people, and they got stuck in very messed up situations where they had to serve time for it. And I can't speak on that level of oppression because of some of the things that are obvious about me that I haven't had to face. But I do know that when it comes down to what our energetic imprint is, subscribing to a belief is that if someone says you did this and I subscribe to that belief, I can almost believe in myself that I did do it because they're applying all these facts onto me. And as long as I stay sovereign and in my power and knowing who I am, and I stay in line with that, the universe is going to reveal the truth if necessary. You know, like everything is just going to work out in your favor as long as you know and you stay closer to your energetic imprint. And that's why it's key to not subscribe or consign to someone else's belief structure, because if you pick up that belief and it's something you didn't do, you can almost embody that to a level of showing guilt and then boom.
And also, you don't have to take your own beliefs as concrete, because the best thing about life is the fluidity. Every day you're going to learn something and experience something, even minutely, that you didn't have yesterday.
Yes.
Some individuals choose to always continue the same way. Yes. Well, both me and Corey, we like to adapt. We know that this is a infinite universe. Why do I have to be the character I was yesterday? I can be this totally different character tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I could be another one after.
Mm-hmm.
And until I find who I want to be, and when I do find who I want to be, I don't have to always be that.
No.
And that's something I really want is important, because so many people are so rigid with their spirituality that they miss out on so much more because they found something that's worked with them, but they're afraid of trying other things.
Exactly. And you know, it's about like, because I've been talking to, I've been going through this lately, is like when you start a new venture in life, sometimes you have to harness new strengths and new archetypes that didn't exist within your being before because you're stepping onto a new path. And I've been talking to the other Sam about this. We were actually talking about it last night, is the recipe that creates us. You know, it's a dash of it's everything, you know, integrated. But what happens
like the ball of clay
is that like we can, like the ball of clay, and we can start to change the portions a little bit to change the flavor accordingly. And we can start to add in new flavors and remove flavors. But you never get to the point of satisfaction with your taste buds, because our taste buds are changing too. Our olfactory senses will get dulled to a certain extent, and we have to then add in new ingredients or start to adjust it accordingly to refresh our taste buds. And this is where learning and expansion and growth is key, especially in spirituality, because we can kind of get stuck in a cycle. And you never know when you learn about something new that's going to create a new infinite portion of you that you're going to thus start to create a new cycle within yourself. But you can also tie it back into, like, you know, for me, when I started to step into learning about magic, we can tie this philosophy into Buddhism and into so many different things, especially when it comes to energy work and like occult sciences, and how the occult actually, like when you go to a Catholic church and you're lighting a candle to call in a saint, that's witchcraft, you know?
Or you drink a little wine and you put a small piece of cracker on your tongue. That's a ritual.
Exactly, rituals, like, and how it's like so stigmatized. It's like, it's in sigils. And how sigils
and the guy with the incense going back and forth, he's chanting. Chanting. I'm like, we're doing a shamanistic ritual at this Catholic church. Nobody else sees it. And then we worship the saints as pagan deities of special skills. Like, I only went to one Catholic mass as a kid, and afterwards I asked my mom, do I have to go again? And she said no. So
you're like, I experienced that, I'm done and over with. But like, but it's so true, because like for me, I stayed away from learning about you know, because I just started stepping into Wicca and learning more about it, and it's something that I'm out of the witch closet. I don't mind talking about it too much, because you know, I still won't, because people still think like, oh, witchcraft, dark, you know, whatever. Anyways, it's like it's Christianity and any other religion. You believe in heaven, you believe in hell, as above, so below. You know, and I know what I work with, and I know who I am. But when I stepped into it, I started to see a new level of my spirituality and understanding things in a new light, because there's a way to translate all this back to how it applies to who you are and what you embody as a spiritual being living the human experience.
Yeah. And what you choose to embody, like bringing it back to this article, is when you read it, you could read so many things. When I read it, I'm like, okay, numerology is cool, but these people don't understand it at all.
Yeah. It's Christian numerology. They were saying it was a Christian numerologist and a Christian astrologer, which is cool in my book. I'm down for that, dude. I'm hella down.
Yeah, But then there's another individual who looks at it and who says, "Oh, this is obviously bullshit. Every single person who believes in numerology is also bullshit." Well, that's, these broad generalizations, I think, is one of the big issues in the spiritual community. Is we are taught to put things in boxes, put labels on things to understand them.
Yeah.
But you're never going to understand everything and every aspect of anything. What's important is what do you do understand, and what can you help other people understand. Anything else is really not important.
And how are you gonna let other people in and give their perspective to further expand on the truth that you're seeking? Because you may completely disagree with what someone says, but I'm with some Palo Santo now. All the smoke is flying in my face right now.
Beautiful.
Palo Santo. But like you may completely be disgusted by this one individual, but they may have one moment of truth that can completely change the way you identify with a certain belief or what you believe in your world. And so it's like also too, we're even limited by the term LifeWorker.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that. We are very limited with the term LifeWorker. Like when it comes down to it, all we are is just I am presence. And whatever that belief is in that moment, and how we're going to let that reflect outward, because if as a multidimensional being, I'm doing work in the astrals when my temporal self is relaxing and regaining its energy from the night before. So and I'm on multiple timelines existing in so many other lives. And a lot of this prophecy too, which is really one thing I found, is that prophecy a lot of the times could be seen into another timeline. And so this prophecy could very well be, yes, this is occurring on another timeline, but it's not going to occur on this timeline. And this is where, when we recognize how we create reality. What's that?
Oh, if you choose, because I bet there's somebody who really wants the rapture to happen, and they made a timeline shift, and they probably won't ever hear this video.
Right, and also too, it's hard. I know, because there's a lot of starseeds right now that are like, I just want to go home. They recognize that they don't feel anywhere, these very old souls don't feel like they're at home in any place on this earth. And that's why we have to the best of our ability, find that heaven within, and find the happiness and the joy in those little moments. And if you don't feel connected to any individual, but you do feel connected to animals, then open up an animal sanctuary and take care of dogs. You know what I mean? Find a way to monetize your passion with taking care of animals. And do that, because there are so many people too that they're with their starseed awakenings, they recognize that they're not of this realm and they don't feel at home anywhere on this realm, and so they want to escape and leave. And I know for me,
they hermit.
What?
They hermit. They just
hermit, or they try to
exercise themselves.
They try to hurt themselves. And me, I tried to kill myself 2 days in a row very seriously, and I could not die. And I know it's because I was part of a grander orchestration, and my higher power wasn't going to let that happen, because I had a mission to fulfill. And so, it's where someone may want to create this into their reality, someone who's very homesick or whatever, but that's where we have to find our peace and our happiness within. And, sometimes, no matter how much internal work we do, we can't find home in the external. And so sometimes we have to move into a place where we can find home in the external environment.
Yeah, home is always here.
Yes.
Because humans have a ability that many star races, once you really get deep into learning about star races, human special ability is that we can travel the universe without moving through astral projection. Not a lot of beings, even highly telepathic beings, have a difficulty with astral projection the way humans can. Yes. Because we can literally take our entire consciousness and still be grounded on Earth, but go anywhere. And even other realities that we create or other people created. And when you are missing home, just even if you have no idea where your cosmic home is, draw a picture. Think of it in your mind, just it's within you. It's always with you.
Yes. And I want to talk about, because you posted a video yesterday about a visualization of your starseed genetics, and I want to plug that in because meditation is my tool too, as far as, because we can use bilocation. I've been able to sit on top of Mount Shasta and meditate and feel the breeze and feel the beauty of Telos and things like that, at Mount Shasta and these multi-dimensional beings. And I want to talk about that visualization, because if you guys are ever having a tough time with meditating, shoot over to Sam's channel, because he's got some really cool guided meditations. And that one I did last night, and it was really cool because I got to understand more of my starseed genetics, and I got to travel a little bit. And I love meditation because I can go anywhere in my mind, and even places you couldn't conceive in this reality I've been able to go to up here and project to, and be able to come back and have a vacation,
Yeah, and integrate those energies here too.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I plan on making more starseeds meditations because I feel most starseeds can meditate. There, a lot of people who know about meditation who say they can't. Mm-hmm. Meditation is different for everybody. Mm-hmm. I have some people who can only meditate when they're submerged in water. I meditate better when I'm walking than when I'm sitting. That's me personally. And so that's another thing too with spirituality is many teachers are pushing the one-size-fits-all spirituality, and it's not. It is custom-tailored spirituality, is what it truly is. It is you custom your reality based on what resonates with you, because there's nobody else like you. Mm-hmm. And if someone says, this is what you have to do, one size fits all, everybody has to do this one same thing, then it's not going to work. When I do my meditations, I don't do it in a way that is, this is what you see, this is what you experience. I leave it open-ended. I ask, what do you hear? What do you feel? What is going around? I don't tell you what you're seeing. I ask you what you're seeing. Because if I'm forcing this reality on you, it's not authentic. It is my reality, but to you, it's not authentic.
Yeah.
But what I can do is I can pose questions that you can answer authentically. That word.
Authentically. There you go. Yeah. Well, and also too, every soul imprint if we look at nutrition for the body, and we look at things like certain diets and blood diets that are based on your bloodline, it's like, what does your soul want? Everybody's soul needs and wants a different level of nourishment to get to the point of that expansion. And so I love how you access the five senses in the meditation, because you're starting to integrate all aspects of your being into this. And that's what happens, is that there's still a level of disconnect with going to the astrals, because we're not incorporating all five of our senses or six of our senses into that. And I like how you incorporate the feeling and things like that, because it's so important, because that's how you really get there. And it's so key for manifestation in the law of attraction, is when you are visualizing your reality and you're working with the blank canvas, you need to incorporate all those senses to get that energy up to play, to project it out into the universe and to let it come into fruition. You got to incorporate all of it into it.
Yeah, and you have to be the one doing it, because a lot of meditations, many meditations here on YouTube, leave very little to the listener. It is almost always constant words, constant, this is what you're feeling, this is what is happening. And more and more meditation providers here on YouTube are making it more interactive, because there's a past old belief in the spiritual community that people can't govern their lives by themselves, so they have to be led by hand. I'm not some people need to be led, yes. But other individuals need to lead themselves. And if they don't lead themselves, they will never learn. Yep. And so I cater towards those individuals more so than the type of people who like to be led. Yep. I don't like the term sheep and all that. A lot of negative name calling, but there's always going to be a leader and there's going to be a follower. Yep. Some people resonate with acting off of other people's beliefs. And some people resonate with creating their beliefs and helping other people act on them. So
and there's also a time to take lead and to fall back too. That's something for me, is I have moments where I lead, and there's moments where I fall back with the collective, because once again, when I'm vibing with someone, I find the personal interaction, and that we each hold a key, an energetic key that can unlock a door of knowledge within me that me hermiting all by myself, I can't access on my own. And that's where, for me, my level of creativity will be sparked when I'm working with other individuals because I'm inspired. My muse is the universe, and my muse is connecting with people like you, because then I find this. It's like those two keys mix perfectly to unlock a new level of understanding for me, and that's where there's a time for the hermiting and then a time to come out and to integrate and to socialize and to connect with your reality. Because for me, I thought I was not going to find someone like you in San Diego, and it took a leap of faith and showing up for an event that was, like I thought I was alone out here. And I recognize that when it comes down to when you create things into your reality, and I talked about this in a video not too long ago, is all you have to do is suit up and show up. When you say I need something in my reality, like I'm calling in Soul Tribe, okay, and I'm calling in my family members and my past life family members, the only thing I need to do is it's like riding the bus. I just show up. When the bus arrives, the only thing that's asked is that I walk through that door, I swipe my pass, I sit down, and I enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
That's where we have fun with we try to learn to have fun in the manifestation process, because it's not so much work. Not everything is just going to arrive at your front door. It's about taking a leap of faith and just suiting up and showing up and just letting it unfold the way it's supposed to naturally.
Yeah. And I totally agree, because for me, the feeling I get when I do readings and when I show up for other people to help heal them, like money is not the reward. The reward I get is energetically, immediately, because my heart starts pounding, and the first card I read a lot of times resonates. Yeah. Not every time, usually, but almost all my readings, even if it seems like I'm saying something that's kind of weird and like a little off the wall, it's always like they respond immediately. How did you know that? How could you tell these things? I'm like, that's just what the universe is saying. And at the end of every time I make a YouTube video or a reading, or when I make my jewelry, I feel just connected. I feel so great. Yeah. It was one of the best highs I ever had is giving a reading, because I'm helping somebody connect to themselves. And by doing so, I can connect more deeper to myself.
Well, you want to do a collective reading for us right now? Do you have your cards?
I got the runes and cards all set up, buddy.
All right, do a collective reading for the collective about energies right now, and what's to come with the energies that are arriving.
Okay, so I got the runes here. So Corey, on behalf of all beings in the universe, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. So, like history with runes, if people don't really know, it goes back to the Vikings. I use Elder Fudark, which is the original alphabet. There was other alphabets that came on afterwards. So there's 24 symbols, and they claim to be from Odin, who hanged himself upside down of the tree of the universe.
The Hanged Man.
Yeah, the Hanged Man, until he got this message. And wow, he got this message, and he shared the runes with all humanity. And it is said that each of these geometric shapes are the code of the universe. It also kind of goes back to Palladian consciousness. Many people believe the old Nordic gods were actually Palladians.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so some of my Palladian channelings, actually, the messages come to me in runes when I communicate with the Palladians.
Right on.
Yeah, so with the runes, it's the energy for the collective. We got the Gambler.
Okay.
Got the Gambler's Cup, which is in the tarot would be similar to the Wheel of Fortune, is taking the chance, going outside of your comfort zone, doing things you're not used to doing, and you're not have experience doing, but will lead to so much, because there's no chance. There's just will. And if you believe in the outcome, that will be the outcome. You might just have to roll the dice a few times. And then the other rune I pulled is Mankind. Connection, harmony, unity, collaboration, being able to connect with other being like we're doing now, and like what you're doing, audience member. By just listening, you're connecting to us. You're the third part of this conversation.
Exactly.
And I'll pull one card for my deck, I have a Oz deck based on the Oz books from the turn of the century.
I love that deck, by the way. He went through and showed me every card in this deck and explained everything about every single card. We sat down for probably an hour and a half going through this entire deck.
Hour and a half.
This deck.
So this deck is based off of 14 books, and the writer of these books was in esoteric secret societies. He practiced, So the thing about most children's books, most of the writers of children's books were highly intelligent adults who were member of adult clubs. Almost every writer of a children's book was a member of some type of secret fraternity of some kind. And so there was a lot of esoteric stuff in the books, but in the cards, wow. So we got the Queen of Discs.
Oh, okay.
So in the story, this is a magical cake pan, which tells the origin of this magical fairyland. This cake pan was stolen, and the entire plot of this book is getting it back. And when they find it, it was never actually stolen. It was returned to the person who made it, who is the queen figure sitting on the chair.
Yeah.
And all these animals are gathering around her to hear this story that she, and with the discs, it's creating its physical wealth. It is manifestation. So right now, it's the thing that you lost, the missing piece that is preventing you from being financially successful. You've always had it. Now is your time to remember that and collaborate with other people and take that chance. And the universe is really going to reward that for you.
I pulled one card. The solution for all this. Intuition. Number 22. So, that's just, I don't need to do any explanation of intuition, but I just wanted to pull a card saying, what is the solution for the stuff going on right now? And it's just using your intuition. Number 22 being a master building number. Build that web of life. And yeah, balance the integrating the intuition and the ego and all of that, working it all together, the heart and head knowledge working in harmony, that balance. And of course I love the owl. She's holding that owl.
Yeah, and the owl is the only animal on the planet that can see 360 degrees. Really?
I did not know that.
Yeah, without moving their body. The owl can rotate their head almost 360 degrees field of vision.
This is where my exorcist moment comes. And I go, start puking all over the walls. Well, Sam, thank you so much, dude, for coming on and doing that little reading and just a great conversation. We're gonna have more of these.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna put your link to your Etsy shop for your jewelry in here. I'm gonna also put a link to your YouTube in my description box. And I'll also put your Gmail account up there. So if anyone wants to send an email and give some love or gratitude over to Mr. Third Eye Lion, or even ask him some questions. This man has so much knowledge. Pick his brain, because he knows a lot. And I'm already learning so much from you, and I can't wait to see what happens in further podcasts, to see what comes about, man.
Yeah, and I'm always down to learn from other people, because the thing about sharing knowledge, the key that a lot of people forget, is being open to how they receive your knowledge. It's very important, because how someone receives what you're saying is how you can help say that to other people more effectively.
Exactly. So Sam, thank you again, man. I appreciate it. Much love and respect to you. We're only a few miles away, so I'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, we'll be seeing each other.
And guys, if you haven't, what was the word we came up with the other day other than subscribe?
Engage.
And if you want to engage, click the button, click the bell to get notified of when these podcasts come up. And guys, I love all of you. Much love and respect to everybody out in the Webverse. And I will see you on the other side. All right, namaste, people.